So here we are in Agra at the Agra Red Fort. Yep, we're about to go in. Ready? Let's do it. This massive red sandstone fortress tells one of history's most heartbreaking stories. Built by Emperor Akbar starting in 1565, this UNESCO World Heritage Site was the main residence of Mughal emperors for generations. Its walls stand nearly 2.5 kilometers around, rising some places 7 feet high. Inside, you'll find places of white marble, intricate gardens, and courtyard that's once hosted the most powerful dynasty in Indian history. But here's what the story gets dark. A white octagonal tower. That was Musamman Burj, and this is where one of the most powerful men in the world spent his final 8 years as a prisoner. Shah Jahan. Yes, the same emperor who built the Taj Mahal that I showed you yesterday in the previous episodes for his beloved wife Mumtaz. He was imprisoned right here by his own son, Aurangzeb, in 1658. Imagine that. The man who created the world's greatest monument of love locked away in this tower, able to see his masterpiece across the Yamuna River, but never be able to visit it again. According to accounts, Shah Jahan would spend hours staring at the Taj Mahal through the window, watching the monument change colors with the light, his only connection to his deceased wife. He died here in 1666, still a prisoner, still gazing at his creation. The fort itself is a masterpiece of Mughal architecture. As we walk through the Amar Singh Gate, the main entrance today, you're following the same path that emperors, queens, and courtiers took centuries ago. Inside, we found the Jahangiri Mahal, built by Akbar for his son, showcasing a blend of Hindu and Islamic architectural styles that defined the Mughal era. The Taj Mahal, or private palace, features stunning white marble pavilions with curved roofs. The Divani IM, or Hall of Public Audiences, is where emperors would address common people and dispense justice. In the Divani I Khas, the Hall of Private Audiences, was reserved for important dignitaries and nobles. But it's that tower, the Musamman Burj, that haunts you. Shah Jahan's daughter, Jahanara, chose to stay with her imprisoned father, caring for him until his death. Very hard to see, but there's the Taj Mahal. When he finally died, he was buried next to his beloved Mumtaz in the Taj Mahal, reunited at last, and the only part of the Taj Mahal that is out of synchronicity. This fort represents both the heights of the Mughal power and the brutal reality of succession politics in that era. Sons frequently rebelled against fathers, brothers fought brothers, all for the throne. Shah Jahan himself had to come to power through similar means, and in the end, history repeated itself. What's fascinating and frustrating is that the northern portion of the fort remains under control of the Indian military, specifically the Parachute Brigade, which means visitors can only access about 25% of this massive complex of 94 acres. The military presence also explains why tourists must enter through the Amar Singh Gate rather than the grander Delhi Gate on the western side. The fort had a tumultuous history behind the Mughals. It was held by Jat rulers of Bharatpur for 13 years, then passed between the Maratha Empire and their enemies multiple times before the British finally captured it during the Second Anglo-Maratha War in 1803. Tragically, most of the fort's original architecture was destroyed. Historian Abul Fazl recorded that 500 buildings in the Bengal and Gujarat styles once stood here, but most were demolished either by Shah Jahan himself to make room for his white marble palaces or later by British troops between 1803 and 1862 who cleared the space for military barracks. Today, only about 30 Mughal era structures survive, concentrated on the southern riverside section, making what visitors see merely a fraction of the fort's former glory. If you've been following all my episodes, you keep hearing me talk about the Mughals. So, who were the Mughals? Well, the Mughals were a dynasty of Central Asian origin who ruled most of the Indian subcontinent for over 3 centuries, fundamentally shaping the region's culture, architecture, and history. So in places like this, you want to be careful because the walls have ears. You can just whisper into that corner, and then it'll be heard in the other corner. Boy, it's a little loud in here, yeah? Let's go out. The Mughal Empire began after Babur's victory at the First Battle of Panipat in 1526, when he defeated Ibrahim Lodi and established the Mughal rule. Babur was the descendant of both Timur Tamerlane on his father's side and Genghis Khan on his mother's side, making him part of the Turco-Mongol warrior aristocracy that had dominated much of Asia. The empire reached its zenith under rulers like Akbar, who expanded the territory and promoted religious tolerance. Jahangir, known for his justice and arts patronage. Shah Jahan, who built the Taj Mahal and transformed Mughal architecture with white marble. And Aurangzeb, whose strict Islamic policies and constant military campaigns both expanded and weakened the empire. The Mughals ruled from Agra Fort until 1638 when the capital shifted to Delhi. By the mid 18th century, the empire had fragmented due to internal conflicts and external pressures from the Marathas, Persian invaders, and eventually a British East India Company. Though the Mughal dynasty technically continued until 1857 when the British exiled the last emperor after the Indian Rebellion. Their effective power had long since diminished, leaving behind an extraordinary legacy of art, architecture, and cultural fashion that still defines much of South Asian identity today.
Soil from Kashmir and they got the vines over here. So this is where they had their grapevines.
Look at this. Should we see which one was his favorite daughter? All right, so let's go discover who's the favorite daughter. So the father's apartment first. So Akbar realized the importance of this fort central situation and made it his capital. His historian Abul Fazi recorded that this was a brick fort known as Badalgar. It was in ruined condition, and Akbar had it rebuilt with red sandstone from Baruli area, Dalpur district in Rajasthan. Architects laid the foundation. It was built with bricks in the inner core with sandstone and external services. Some 4,000 builders worked on it daily for 8 years, completing it in 1573. So better material, like as in it's made of marble, so you know this is the better daughter. After her mom's death, 17-year-old Jahanara was given extraordinary power. She received control of the royal seal and the title of Padshah Begum, First Lady of the Mughal Empire, despite Shah Jahan having 3 surviving wives. As we approach the Musamman Burj, this octagonal marble tower overlooking the Yamuna River, remember that it was Shah Jahan, Akbar's grandson, who transformed this fort into what we see today, replacing much of the red sandstone with gleaming white marble, the same material he used to build the Taj Mahal in memory of his beloved wife, Mumtaz Mahal. This tower wasn't built as a prison. It was Shah Jahan's own creation, a place where he once stood as the most powerful man in India, but it became his gilded cage for the final 8 years of his life. The walls here feature pietra dura decoration, semi-precious stone inlay work, with the columns displaying both stylized flower-like hatai, palmet, and rumi motifs between twisted branches, while the wall panels showcase naturalistic flowers including lilies, irises, and daffodils. The inlay work on the pillars and dado panels depicts stylish borders with carved plants in the center and Chinese cloud form. The tower is made of delicate marble lattices with ornamental niches that allowed the ladies of the court to gaze out unseen, and the dome is crowned with gilded copper at the top. In 2021, a pair of extraordinary spectacles appeared at the Shotebi auction, diamond-mounted frames with lenses cut from actual emeralds, dating to Shah Jahan's 17th century court. These flat-cut lenses were carved from emeralds that originally weighed over 300 carats. Why emeralds? In Mughal tradition, emeralds were believed to have miraculous healing powers. But there is more. Green was the color associated with paradise in Islamic tradition. Peering through these emerald lenses may have given him a glimpse of the eternal life he envisioned for himself and Mumtaz. Like so many treasures of the Mughal Empire, including the controversial Koh-I-Noor diamond, which sits in the British crown jewels. These spectacles represent the extraordinary wealth and sophistication of the Mughal India. The Koh-I-Noor, meaning mountain of light, weighs 105.6 carats today and it's one of the world's most disputed gemstones. Some sources claim it was presented to Shah Jahan in 1656, though its exact origins remain debated. After being looted by Nadir Shah when he sacked Delhi in 1739, it eventually came into British possession when they annexed Punjab in 1849. India has repeatedly demanded its return, viewing it as a symbol of colonial conquest. The 17th century Indian subcontinent was the world's sole source of diamonds, and the Mughals transformed these materials into objects of incomparable beauty. If you know a different version of the Koh-I-Noor, please leave a comment. Somebody's eating their vegetables. Look, he totally just stole it out of this bag. I tried to stop him, I wasn't successful. Right now, we're at the Sheroes Hangout Cafe, one of the most inspiring places in India. This cafe is run entirely by acid attack survivors who refuse to be defined by violence. India has faced a serious crisis with acid attacks against women and girls, often motivated by rejected marriage proposal or revenge. For years, acid was shockingly easy to buy, sold in stores just for a few rupees. But survivors fought back. They became activists demanding change. Their courage led to landmark legislations in 2013. The Supreme Court issued strict guidelines regarding acid sales, and punishments increased to a minimum 10-year sentences. These women here call themselves Sheroes, not victims. They have built businesses, created community, and reclaimed their lives. Our next stop is Delhi with our last train. We're heading to where Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation, was assassinated on January 30th, 1948, shot 3 times at Birla House during prayer meeting. Just steps away is Rajghat, the memorial where he was cremated. Now a peaceful garden with an eternal flame making where India's greatest soul returned to the earth. His final words, Hey Ram. And here comes our Meals on Wheel. Well, technically train wheels and our dinner. So let's see what's in our train food. Something something. Choo choo. See you in the next episode.